Industry Insider is only available at Promo Corner, the leader in digital marketing for the promotional products industry. Each Monday, they discuss, dissect, and debate a single issue impacting the world of promotional marketing from every industry perspective. Now, it's time for Promo Corner's Industry Insider.
Welcome to another edition of the Industry Insider, your promotional products podcast where you can get all the nerdy news you need to know about. My name is Jeff Franklin, National Accounts Manager with Headwear USA, and I'm joined today by three other lovely folks, but this fine broadcast is going to be brought to you today by our good friends over at TechWeld. TechWeld USA, made in a world filled with worry regarding overseas products. They offer many USA-made products to help separate themselves from the promotional product pack. Let's talk hand sanitizers, all right? Due to the coronavirus outbreak, look, yes, vaccines are coming out. Yes, people are getting vaccinated and all of that good stuff, but it is still very much a thing. So you still need to be hand sanitizing, washing your hands, all that good stuff. So to help prevent the spread, the CDC recommends sanitizing and washing your hands. So TechWeld's got a plethora of sanitizer SKUs that you can choose from to help combat the spread of the virus. We can also talk custom packaging, all right? TechWeld, they've got this whole new create new every day aspect for their custom packaging division, and it's a great example of that. Each box takes on a life of its own, and and they can basically work to meet your custom specifications regarding packaging. And, they're really great with FDA compliance as well. They've got several FDA compliant products. In a time of uncertainty, knowledge that a product is FDA compliant is key to allowing the customer to feel at ease when placing an order. So please be sure to go check them out at techweld.com. That's TEKWELD.com. You will not be sorry that you went over there and checked them out. Give them a shout. Tell them Industry Insider sent you. So like I said, joined today by three other lovely folks. Why don't we say hi to Meg Erber, sleeveless Meg Erber.
Not today. I'm only got my half sleeves on, but we should talk about that because that was pretty funny.
Oh, we'll talk about it.
We will talk about it. But yes, got my sleeves on today. Just Easter was this weekend. Great weekend. Beautiful weather. It was so nice to be outside and have all the Easter egg hunts, and I'm still eating all the candy because I don't give it to my kids.
I was outside a minimum of 20 hours this weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow. Steve McFadden, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm avoiding the pollen. It's like really nice out, but it's also yellow. So
yeah,
driving in, I could literally see it in the air, like just blowing by.
Wow.
It's bad.
So that's pretty bad. I don't think I've seen it quite like that, but I definitely knew where you were going with that. This weekend, I was, like I said, it was outside pretty much the entire weekend. And
so crazy story. Last night we're playing softball, which is nice. That's back. Foul ball sitting in out of bounds area, like over the fence, hit a pine tree, and when it hit it, the whole thing was.
Wow.
It was like that bad. That's how bad it is here.
Built-in fireworks.
That's right.
A whole different category of a show there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, allergies are definitely kicking my ass. Zyrtec has been on the menu. I'll just put it that way. Kirby Hasseman, our special guest for the day, the captain of content is what I'll say, because you were just all over the place, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm with you, Jeff. I absolutely love the warmer weather. So literally in between Easter feedings, that's kind of like the lunch and dinner. I actually went for a run. I haven't run outside in a long time. It was slow. It was painful. I'm sore still, but it was just great to be out in the sunshine. And yeah, it's the pollen is a thing. And since it is now illegal to cough in public, that's kind of a challenging thing. So I'm struggling with that too, but man, I love the sunny weather. So I'm doing well.
Especially after that April Fool's joke that God pulled on us.
Exactly. Where literally, I don't know how it was where you guys were, but I mean, it went from 70 degrees to on April 1st, there was snow standing on lawns here. And you're just like, okay, I was planning on mowing. Apparently not.
Yeah, it got down to like 26 degrees here, I think. So
yeah.
it was pretty chilly for sure, to say the least. So listen, today we're going to talk about a couple different things, but ultimately, just creating valuable content in this new digital world that we're living in, and it's something that we're going to continue to see even moving forward. When things do sort of come back in person, I think we're still going to be seeing quite a bit of a hybrid situation. So I think that's an important topic to discuss. And so we've brought on, like I said, the captain of content, Kirby. You've got so much stuff that you put out there for folks, really valuable, good content for people to consume. So we definitely had to have you on to discuss this topic for sure. You've also got some news that you've just released recently that we'll dive into just a little bit, along with a couple other questions to add to the conversation. So. Kirby, it's tradition around here, though, to give our guests a good 3 to 4 minutes to really tell your story, who you are, how you got introduced to the promotional products industry, and sort of what you've been up to since then. So tell us all things Kirby Hasseman, man.
Hey, Jeff, in the spirit of the Masters, is this a tradition like no other?
It is a tradition like no other.
No, that's cool. Yeah, go ahead.
As the Magic Mike of content instead of content.
I wish. So first of all, thank you. I really appreciate you guys having me on. I love what you guys are doing. I was telling you before we got going that I've watched so many of your episodes. You guys do a great job with it. Kirby Hasseman is my name. Own Hasseman Marketing. It's a distributorship. We're sort of an agency model. So we have everything. We do the promotional products piece. That's probably 80% of our revenue, but we have in-house video production, graphic design. We actually do print now in-house as well. And so, certainly sort of a service-based company. I'm a bit of a entrepreneur. Started Hasseman Brewing, which actually doesn't exist anymore, but we did that. Hasseman Properties is a real estate company my wife exists. So I'm an entrepreneur and clearly a narcissist since I name everything after myself. I actually need to work on that. Future companies need to be called something else.
Well, look, when you look the way that you do in that video that Meg put, it's okay to be a little bit narcissistic, right?
I think you should explain what we're talking about.
Yeah.
No, I want people to question it and then just start tuning in a little bit more and trying to figure out what the hell we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. Feel free to explain it, Meg, because I think you would do it justice more than me.
Do you want me to jump in with that right now?
Yeah, please.
Okay,
yeah, sure.
So, we've been trying to do these hype videos, which is always a lot of fun. And I knew Kirby and I are in a mastermind group of content. So I reached out to him. I'm like, listen, you are the Magic Mike of of content. Why don't we collaborate on something? And I was like, listen, there are some awesome companies out there that did some really innovative, I don't know, is that the word? April Fool's jokes. And I have to give a shout out to Lacey, my friend Lacey, my coworker. She sent me a screenshot of Alpha Broder's April Fool's joke. And at first, no one really realized it was April Fool's. And if you didn't see it, it was a sleeveless shirt. Or no, I take it back. It was a tearaway sleeve shirt. And I was so perplexed by this. I was like, is it like a one tear and done? Are there zippers? Is it Velcro? And then I was like, it's April Fool's Day.
It's April 1st. Yeah.
And I was like, I loved it. So I sent it to everybody at work and I was like, so it was really funny. So then when I called Kirby, I was like, listen, we have to do something with this. So we did anything you can do, I can do better. And then I ripped my sleeves off and then I kind of, which by the way, was not easy to do. This is one sleeve and this is the other. And it took me about 2 hours to get a perfect take. And every time I would try to rip them and it would just stretch my shirt.
That's just because S&S makes their shirts so good,
they don't tear.
They don't tear, guys.
I ended up having to cut them and stick them up in my shirt and then do it. So it was a lot of fun. And I refaced Magic Mike with Kirby's head. I had to edit some of the video. I didn't want to push the envelope too far, if you know what I mean. So that's what we're talking about. We'll post the video in the comments after this is done, but it was really funny. So
yeah, and it was a video that I aspire to be. My wife was super excited to see my face on that body. That was good. It was good stuff. I said if I looked like that, I wouldn't be wearing a shirt right now, guaranteed.
All right. So now that we've taken more time than we've allowed Kirby to introduce himself to explain the story, Kirby, why don't you continue?
No, it's good. So yeah, anyway, owner of a distributorship, sort of a serial entrepreneur, written a couple books, and I have a lovely wife, a couple great kids, and so that's certainly a passion of mine. And I really enjoy creating content, and so this is the idea that we're going to talk about creating entertaining and valuable content is near and dear to my heart. So I'm super excited for the conversation.
Very cool. So tell us about some of the like, what was the first piece of content that you started to create? Like, how did you get into content creation?
Yeah. So I think early on, and this predates anything that you would know about content I would create. So I did a lot of stuff where I would just try things and throw a bunch of crap at the wall and then wonder why nothing would stick. And over the course of time, I've sort of figured out why things didn't work. But probably the first one that really started to have any traction was something that I called the weekly word. Which doesn't exist anymore, but I did it for a couple of years where literally we would just randomly select a word. And then I would say the weekly word is party. And then I would try to, and I completely unscripted, by the way, I would vamp and kind of tie some sort of lesson to party. And then, and I did, it was usually about a minute or so. And that was the first time I felt like I started to get traction on something. And what I understand now that I don't think I understood was just that there was consistency. It showed up all the time. And I was probably a little early to the game on, especially with a video doing that, where I think people started to see me in the industry setting. And then also, my clients started to see it is when I started delivering Marketing Joy. That was the first piece of content that I did, where it was a video. And, we talk about it. Everybody says, oh, it's the Delivering Marketing Joy podcast. It was actually a video before it was the podcast. And I wanted to have a web show on YouTube. And ironically, the funny thing about that was I'd said, yeah, look, I want it to be 10 or 15 minutes long. And everyone, to a person that I said I was going to do that, said, oh my God, nobody's watching a 15-minute video. And I was like, hey, but if we're going to have a meaningful conversation, it's going to take a little bit of time. And so that's the one that sort of started taking off. And I think the funny thing about it, back to the consistency model, I actually saw Gary Vaynerchuk when he started the Ask Gary V show. I started DMJ not long after that. And I saw him say that the average web show doesn't make it to episode 5. And so I was like, screw that. I'm going to have 5 in the can before we start. And so I called Mark Graham and he was willing to do it, and Danny Rosen and Dana Zezzo and Bill Petrie. And so I had a good lineup of folks that were willing to do it and would trust me to do it without seeing what it looked like. And there was nothing like this. And so that was where it sort of started. And, talk about lessons through creation. That was where it kind of took off.
Yeah. So DMJ. So just another acronym for our awesome industry of acronyms.
Yeah, right.
Delivering Marketing Joy. If you don't know or you're not familiar, and you've got over 300 episodes or something like that, right? Like you've been doing that for quite a while.
Yeah, I need to do the math. I just recorded and edited 337. So I don't know what 337 divided by 52 is, but that's how many years. I think it's probably 6.5 years, something like that. And I don't think I've missed a Wednesday, so yeah. It's now there are times where you get to, Monday and you're like, oh my God, I don't have anything lined up, and you scramble to do it. And so sometimes those are the greatest hits that you'll see, or the Ask Kirby's, but what's great about creating something that's consistent, not only does it create value for your audience, which obviously you guys are doing, but it also creates an accountability in yourself. It's like, oh my God, I don't want this to be the week that I miss. And so that's been, and again, I think that's been the secret sauce. We were talking about this on this mastermind group that Meg is talking about. Somebody said, well, I'm in a bit of a rut. What should I do? And everybody kind of went around and talked about it. And somebody said, well, Kirby, what do you think? I'm like, keep going. That's literally that's the answer. Just keep going. Because so many times when you feel like you're in that rut, you're one great guest or one hitting the right note from it picking back up. I think so many people quit just when they're tired or frustrated, and they're just on the cusp of taking the next step.
Hey, Kirby, I think this is maybe a good time to ask as well. Like, how do you measure that, right? Like, what is a successful piece of content, right? Because there's so many people that are getting into it and
Yeah.
keep going. Their success, could be consistently 10 views versus 100 versus 1,000. But like, where do you figure out like something's hitting?
Yeah, I think we get really tied up on the ego metrics, in my opinion, right? Like, oh, it's got to have 50 views or 100 views or 1,000 views. And I think this is where the state of comparison gets you in trouble, because Casey Neistat, it's that every time he puts out a video, it has 1 million views, and kudos, but he didn't do that overnight. I actually talk about the idea of my 25 readers. Like, so you're starting a blog post and you look and you can see the metrics, and I've only got 25 people, and you figure 5 of them are family, right? But I think what's important to note is, let's say you were doing that once a week or every day. And this took me a long time to figure out. They're not the same 25, right? Like, so let's say that you're getting 100 views on Industry Insider. They're not the same 100 people are not logging in at the same time every week. You're getting, maybe there's 25 that are those dedicated that are there all the time, but those other 75 are new almost every week. Bill and I sort of figured that out when we were doing the Unscripted podcast, when we went to PPAI, and we were thinking, it's going okay, and we gauged it on engagement is the answer you're looking for. So like, if we started to see what resonated and where people talked and that sort of thing. But when you go to Expo, you see a bunch of people that you've never seen before, or you see, and people are coming up to them. We watch the podcast, or we listen to podcasts all the time, and we're like, the numbers don't match what we're hearing. And that's, I think, when we realize, oh, they're not listening every week. And so it's like, when you hit one where people start talking about it a little bit more, that's when all of a sudden that 100 number goes to 250 or 500. It's because it engages the whole audience, and they're not engaged every time. People are busy. But if you're showing up, providing value consistently, you're building it. You're just building it over time.
Yeah, I've noticed that it is a consistency thing, but then based on what's happening in the world, like, that affects things a lot too. Like, when we first started going live with video, everybody was working from home, and a lot of folks didn't really have a lot of business or a lot of things to do, so they had more time to sort of peruse and absorb content. Now, like, we're actually starting to see, the same number of views and engagements and stuff like that, but it's happening after the show a lot of times, so people are absorbing it in the evenings when they've got more free time and that sort of stuff. So, but I completely agree. Like, I really like to judge our content based on the number of engagements that we get. So the comments that we get during the show is always key and always valuable for us. Like, we love it when people chime in and say hi, like Javier or Melinda has just chimed in. So like, it's super cool just to see people chime in. I know we don't always read the comments and things like that, like on the show, but it means a lot when we get the engagement, for sure.
Well, and the other thing I would say, Jeff, is what's interesting to me, and this is honestly goes back to my original point. So I started YouTube, or the Delivering Marketing Joy, as a YouTube, and people asked me, hey, can you put it as a podcast? Put it as a podcast. Well, at the time, again, 7 years ago, I wasn't listening to podcasts as consistently. So I was like, it actually took some prompting for me to go, oh yeah, okay, that's actually really easy. I just take the audio file and do it. Well, what I found now is, and you guys do this already. It's like, okay, you're doing the Facebook Live, then you put it on YouTube, then it's on so people can listen when they want to listen, right? So I find now it's like podcasts, I got to do it when I want to do it. There's no such thing as appointment viewing in my schedule. And I think other people, some people want to listen to the audio. Some people want to do the live. They want to be engaged as it's happening. And then other people just want to do it when they have a minute. And I think giving people the ability to see it in all those formats helps.
Yep.
I will say that you know that it's working, Kirby, and I'm gonna rewind here about 5 years, maybe 5 years and a month, and
So specific.
Yeah,
it's very. This is gonna be creepy.
It is kind of creepy.
2005.
I get a reminder once in a while from Tim Hill. So so about 5 years ago in a month, I was brand new at SNS Activewear, and I was, you know where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
I was training with my coworker, Carrie, and we had this, by the way, I knew of Kirby because of all the social media and the podcasts and everything that he was doing, but I'd never met him. And she actually said where we were going, Hasseman Marketing. And it didn't ring a bell.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't. Because I guess when I see your name, I think Hasseman, maybe, I don't know. When you don't know, I didn't know you back then. So when she said it and then me knowing it, they weren't the same words. So I just didn't, whatever, it didn't matter. So we finally get there. It's 2 hours on all windy roads. I mean, we live in the middle of nowhere. Like I was so car sick. And then I'm like lifting this rack up because then you have to go up a flight of stairs. And then this guy
Make it easy.
And I'm like, Kirby. And he was like, Megan.
Yeah.
So I just had a baby and so did Carrie. So he was like, I gotta take a picture. So he took a Snapchat picture and sent it out to people. It's been haunting me since. Mind you, I had boots on. My coworker is half the size of me and I had 3-inch boots on and we both just had babies. It looked like I physically ate her. Okay. She was my breakfast.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, it's amazing how it does kind of tie people together in a really cool way.
But I felt like I already knew you. I felt like I knew everything about your business. I was like, it was just like I came in there and we were like best friends. So, but
well, there's a great quote, and I got a train coming through, so I apologize because this is live, right?
It's Meg on the way to her meeting.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But Danny Rosen is where I heard this from, and he said that social media will never replace a handshake, but it will turn a handshake into a hug. And I have absolutely experienced that multiple times in my life, and that's pretty cool.
Actually a really, really good way of thinking about it. That's a good point. I like that. So since Meg was so specific with her 5 years and 1 month ago, we've got something coming up in 25 days, 22 hours, 38 minutes, and 42 seconds, Kirby. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Wow. That is very specific. I love that you went. So yeah, we have just announced that it's coming in May, calling it Better Business University. And it's an online learning platform that we are targeting to entrepreneurs, salespeople, entrepreneurial leaders, that we want to make very affordable online education platform so that people can level up. They can get it for their team. They can get it for themselves. And we kind of put out the website early so that we could get feedback, because we have 5 of the courses done, edited, ready to go. It's all going to be video learning. But I want, if there are specific challenges that we're hearing from sort of our audience that we haven't already covered, we want to. And so that's what we're kind of in the process of now. We've created a Facebook page at Better Business University, and then the website's just betterbusinessu.com. And so literally all it is sort of a landing page where we're asking for that feedback of the challenges that people are having if they want to grow their business. So it's been an interesting thing. I've never had imposter syndrome screaming in my head this loud in my whole career. So it's been pretty interesting.
Really? What makes you say that?
Well, I think that, anytime, so I, maybe 5 years ago or 6 years ago or whatever it was, when I first started doing DMJ or something, I definitely had that voice. And I think one of the things I say is we all have that voice. We all have that voice that says you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, and doggone it, people don't like you. Or who the hell cares what you have to say? But I think those of us who create content have learned over time to push past it, ignore it, whatever you want to call it. But in doing this, I think, in creating a platform there's going to be a paywall. There's going to be, people are going to pay for this. If I create a vlog and Jeff thinks it's dumb, well, don't watch it. Like, it's no big deal. But if you have paid, then I've spent a lot of time trying to build a reputation of providing value. The last thing I want to do is to do something where you go, well, this was stupid. This was a jip. And so I've spent so much time in my own head just trying to make sure that that's not the case. I think that's why.
Cool.
I think that'd be a good segue into maybe even asking and we briefly talked about this beforehand too, but you've been editing videos. We were talking before about how much time you're putting into that. Obviously you're creating content that hasn't been released yet for this project, not to mention your, all the different podcasts and videos. And, I'm sure if one person says it, a lot of people are thinking it, but how do you manage that, how much content you create versus your ROI, right? Like, how do you figure out, like, am I doing just too much for free, right, with no paywall? Right. And how do I, grow my business at the same time? Because it sounds like you're a serial entrepreneur as well. So
yeah. No, I think that's the magic. That's the $1 million question, right? So, and Stephen, I'd love to say that I've got it all figured out, right. but I would say, I think that the first thing is I do enjoy doing it, right? That's because at the end of the day, if I didn't, then I don't think I could have managed it for this long. When I first started delivering marketing joy, that was the one where I got that question all the time. It was, what's your ROI? I think Roger Burnett was an early guest. He might've been episode 8 or something. And literally, the way we did it, I would ask 3 questions and they would ask me a question. And his question was, what's your ROI on this? And I remember saying to him, I don't know, but I know it's the right thing to do. I just don't know how to measure it yet. So here's what I would say. I've got a better answer now, I think. And the answer is sort of twofold. Number one, my experience is I went from being a salesperson to a marketer in my customers' eyes. So what I mean by that is we've all who've been in our industry is we get a customer and they're like, oh crap, I forgot 2 weeks. I've got a trade show and I need maybe some shirts and I need some pens and I need them overnighted and I don't want to pay anything. And, I was a salesperson, I could get their thing, but they weren't asking me to consult. What's switched over this time is that they come to me now often, not always, I wish it was always, but often people come to me now and say, okay, I'm rebranding. I've got a trade show coming up and we think we probably should do a video. Help us do it. Well, that's a totally different conversation. They view me as a marketer, as a consultant, rather than a salesperson. Now, ultimately along the way, I sell them things, hopefully. But that's the first thing that I experienced in my business. But the real answer, I think, I read it in the book, This Is Marketing by Seth Godin. And he's one of those guys who says shit that I'm always like, yeah, that's what I've been thinking in my head. It's just way smarter than what I've ever been able to articulate. And he sort of draws the line between brand marketing and direct marketing. And I believe, to me, this is the best answer. I think so many times, the difference between direct marketing is that thing that you send out an email and say, click on this link and buy. Right. And so you can say, well, I sent out 1,000 emails, 20% opened it, this many people clicked, and this was my ROI on this thing, right? That's direct marketing. Brand marketing is your Super Bowl ad. Coca-Cola is doing brand marketing there. They do not expect you to leave the Super Bowl party and, okay, I got to go buy a 2-liter Coke and bring it back. It's brand marketing. They want you to be top of mind the next time you're at the grocery store. Content marketing is brand marketing. And we've been trying to measure it as direct marketing. You can't. Every single time that you try and measure brand marketing, whatever that is, Super Bowl spot or whatever, and try and measure brand marketing with direct marketing metrics, it will fail because they're not the same thing. And both are important, but I think that's the thing where we get in our own head. It's like, well, I do this video. How many pens do I sell? It's the reason it's a hard question is because it's an absurd question, right? Now, if you do a sales video, that's different, right? Yeah. If you do a sales video saying, this pen right here from Gold Star is amazing, and it's got the great writing ink and full color, and it's whatever. And then you do that video and you send it to your clients, that's more direct marketing and you can measure it a little bit. But if you're doing true give value content, it's not something that you can go, well, I sold this many shirts because of it.
Right.
That's a really good point.
It really is.
Then it just comes down to, I guess, managing your time, right? Like how much time do you then put into one versus the other, to make sure a business doesn't suffer,
right.
Vice
yeah.
versa.
And again, I still struggle with that, but it's funny. Before we got on here, I was talking about how all of a sudden I'm using Calendly to schedule
the best.
Yeah. Delivering marketing joy stuff. And that's a great example of how this is 6 years in the making. And I just discovered this tool that y'all already knew about. But I think it shows that you're just constantly iterating and trying to figure out ways to be smarter about it. And so this was a very recent change that I'm like, oh man, this is great. And so that'll free me up to hopefully make more sales calls or do whatever.
That's awesome.
Meg, did you want to chime in with something, or was it did Steven already hit you?
I think so. Yeah. I think that's what was about the direct and the brand marketing. I liked hearing that.
That's a great analogy.
Thank you. Well, again, Seth Godin gets the credit. I just kind of parroted it.
Every time I hear his name, I'm like, oh, what little gem am I going to take away this time? But no, I agree. It's like the brand marketing, the content marketing, it is one and the same. And you can't do one without the other. You have to have the ROI that you can measure, because there's always people that want to know, and there's got to be, you have to report that to somebody. Yeah, so when people ask,
I think the metrics are important. And you guys early on, we were talking, it's like, well, what does how many views or whatever is success. And I mean, you can measure those things. And I think where those are helpful is they're good for your ego. They're good to see if there's progress in the right direction. They're good. There's a bunch of, and not only just the number of views, the number of engagements, the time watched, right? The time on your site. Those are all interesting and important, and they're great to report. But I think, the magic thing, and it's Meg, I think to sort of look at you and say, I compare content marketing to fitness all the time. Like they are, to me, they're inexplicably joined. Is that, so many people start a fitness or a diet, a workout thing, and they're like, they do it like crazy for about a week or two. And at the end of the week or two, their abs do not look like mine on Magic Mike. There's no discernible difference. They're sore, they're tired, they're pissed off, they're hungry. Nothing has changed, and they quit. Right. And the same is true with content. They've worked their tail off. They've come up with ideas. They've started a blog. They've done this. And in 2 weeks, nothing's changed in their business. But the folks who are still doing it in 9 months see a difference both ways, and I think that's sort of the consistency is one of those things that's oversimplified. That people are like, oh, it's too easy to be the answer. It's not. It's the answer.
Just sitting here thinking about what I'd look like if I worked out as many times as we've had this podcast.
Well, this is what, 110 or 111?
That's right.
It's like, that's 2.5 years, man. That'd be great. Kirby, you got 6.5 years on DMJ.
Yeah. Well, and I should, if that's the case, and I were doing the workout every time I was doing the DMJ, I would look like that video. I don't.
There you go.
One thing I will say, Kirby, is, you and Bill had, or maybe it was you and Bill was helping, you had done a university type a marketing university. Was it Hasseman University?
Yeah, Hasseman U. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I remember when that came out, I signed up for it more to support you guys. Mm-hmm. And I emailed Bill, I'm like, this is only $10. You guys you're not getting, no, charge more. No.
Yeah.
What was your thought process behind that? I mean, I did it, I wanted to support you, but I took stuff away from that, and I got a really cool t-shirt that I wear like all the time.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. So it was funny. It was an evolution. So you guys talked about how folks, everybody didn't know what to do with their time when this all started, right? Mm-hmm. And so people started consuming content, people started creating content, which was really exciting. And what I found is I'm like, okay, we need to, once we kind of got past that 1 month window where we didn't realize, we're like, okay, the world's not on fire. We just need to figure out what to do. And so we started with Hasseman U, and so it ended up being two different things, but Hasseman U was a monthly or bi-weekly thing where I actually, again, now it seems happenstance, but we were inviting suppliers just in to do essentially an end user call. And we were inviting our customers in. And then it was funny because people in the industry jumped in too. So that's where it started. And we were doing that on a regular basis. And then we did the Hasseman Marketing Masterclass, which I think is what you're talking about, Meg. And we did an event, kind of learned from commonsku, because they use the Hop-In platform. So I really liked that platform. And I invited Bobby Lehue and Bill spoke, and we did breakout sessions with our customers. I wanted to invite our customers to be a part of the conversation. And again, it was just a virtual event. I wanted to we charged $10 because I wanted people, if they spent the money, that they would actually show up. Yeah. Because we all know that if you get something for free, you don't value it a lot of the time. Yep. And so I wanted, if they spent $10, I was hoping they would show. I donated all that $10 to the local United Way. This wasn't a money-making thing, but it was just another way for us to provide value. And Bobby and Bill were kind enough to donate their time. And so it ended up being honestly, we threw it together, and I wanted there to be something just so people showed up, but I wanted it to be affordable. But in the interest of transparency, I wasn't sure it wasn't going to be a complete shit show. Doing a virtual conference like that, there's so much going on behind the scenes. I think it looks good, and commonsku does a great job of, it looks totally fine on the outside, but you just know it's like the duck behind water that are going like this. And so we've kicked around the idea of doing another one like that, but it's like I'm so hungry to get back in person that I'm struggling to get my head around doing another virtual one. So yeah, does that make sense?
Totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, just doing this show live every week, just trying to read the comments to make sure everything's live, read the ad right, make sure you've got the right topic. So, yeah. Well, do you guys have any other questions for Kirby as far as creating valuable content in this new digital world?
Are there any questions in the chat?
No, nothing as far as questions go in the chat. No.
Well, I think if I can add one thing, and then if you guys have questions to follow up, feel free. But I think one of the things that we struggle with, and I struggle with, is that we go with we want to create valuable content, but it's like, who's it valuable for? Like as marketers, as salespeople, we want to create valuable content, but in reality, what we really want to do is create sales content, right? It ends up being a commercial. And I think that's not content, that your customers, it's one of those, will somebody Google this? And unless it's an advertisement created by Ryan Reynolds, they're not going to Google your ad, right? They're Googling an ad or an answer to their question. They're Googling a solution to their problem. And I think a lot of times it's always like, I would compare it to, when you get the thank you card and you open the thank you card and a business card falls out. And it's like, is it a thank you or is it a sales pitch? Do one or the other. And I think the same thing is true with content. It's like, people will expect that you come back and ask later, but when you're trying to provide value, just do that on this one, right? And if you do that over and over again, they'll Google you. You know what I mean? As opposed to you having to go sort of full sales mode. I think that's the challenge that we all, and again, like I say, I struggle with this too. But it's one of those where when you're giving, give. When you're asking, ask. Don't ask with the veil that you're trying to say thank you. Just ask. Do a sale.
I think that's when it's actually valuable. You're providing something for them as opposed to trying to sell them something.
Right.
100%.
100%. And the thing is when you do that consistently over time, and then you say, I'm the Better Business. Okay, today I've done the free stuff forever. I'm going to try and do this one. I'm just going to ask, right? And then if people don't want to do it, that's fine. But trying to mix the two is where I think we sometimes get lost.
Well, I know you're a Gary Vaynerchuk guy, so it's the jab, right hook,
100%. 100%. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you said that the other day, Kirby. Jab, right hook. Or maybe Jeff said it. Maybe somebody was always saying it. I don't know. But yes, jab.
All right. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions, why don't we launch into rapid fire real quick? I don't even know if you told Kirby about rapid fire. No, this is good.
I'm excited.
So we all will just ask a question and then each person answers it. That's simple.
And it's rapid, so it's quick. We got to go fast.
So I answer every question?
Yeah.
We all answer every question.
Okay, got it. Okay, cool. I'm ready.
All right. Meg, why don't you go first?
Okay. Chapstick or lip gloss?
Chapstick.
Lip balm.
All right.
Lip balm is different than lip gloss.
It is.
I literally cannot think of
Tupac or Biggie Smalls?
Tupac.
Man, 1994, it was definitely Tupac, but I have to say Biggie.
Yeah. There's no wrong answer.
The Biggie songs aged better, I think. But
okay.
Yeah, so I'll go Biggie.
Yeah.
Got to go Tupac. All right. What's your favorite hop? We'll go with a brewery question here.
That's a good one.
Let me Google types of hops.
Cascade is going to be. Cascade is my favorite. You like Sierra Nevada beer? Yeah. That's all Cascade.
Okay.
I'm a Citra guy myself. I love this.
That's a good one.
I'm gonna go with hip hop.
That's fair. I did not specify. So hip is a good answer for the hop question.
The hop, I don't even anymore. So.
Or you could go with Hop In, the platform. Meg.
Oh, that's right, Meg. Meg quit drinking, so we should probably just. All right. Well, that concludes our. Actually, no, Kirby, you got to ask a question, don't you?
Oh, I get to ask a question too.
Yeah, you get to ask a question too.
Favorite book?
Ooh,
the Bible.
Ooh, that's good.
I would say either The Ant and the Elephant or Who Moved My Cheese.
Oh, I like that.
Ooh, all right, I have two. I have one that Roger wrote with Stan Phelps, the Red Goldfish, and then I also have this one guys. This is, I don't know if you've heard me talk about this. I know it's backwards right now, but it's called Fearless by Bellum. This is about my friend.
Looks right.
It's not backwards for us. Just so you know.
Okay. He's on SEAL Team 6. And I remember I was visiting my friend in Tampa and I was talking about him and her husband goes, "Oh wait, I think I have that book." And I wasn't ready to read the book yet. I knew about it, but I took it and I started reading it. And then by the third page in, I was laughing and crying because the author captured his voice and his story. Like I could hear him, if that makes sense. I could hear him. So rest in peace, Adam. But this is a very, very good book. And they are making a movie. It's in production. So.
Oh, cool.
That's really cool.
You know what? I'm going to throw one more out there too. Living with a Seal, since you mentioned that.
That's a great book.
Jesse Itzler.
Yep.
Like the animal or?
No, like a native seal.
And it's a great audiobook too.
I didn't know if it was a children's book.
Oh, it's definitely not a children's book. Absolutely not a children's book.
Jesse Itzler does a great job narrating his own book. It is a very, very good audiobook for sure. So check that out if you haven't already. Absolutely. It's incredible. So, all right. Well, I think that wraps it up. So why don't we just mention TechWeld one more time, guys? Brought to you today by TechWeld USA. If you really enjoyed this valuable content marketing episode, it was brought to you today by TechWeld. So again, USA made in a world filled with worry regarding overseas products. They offer many USA made products to help separate themselves from the promotional products pack. We'll talk some acrylic awards. We don't really talk about that very much, but custom acrylic pieces, awards, phone stands, keychains, etc. Both stock and custom. Their acrylic line focuses on different kinds of items, like the items mentioned in this particular talking point, produced at different sizes and with great quality for the awards. It could be a great piece to promote incentive programs or to promote professionalism at a reasonable cost. And you know what? We'll go full color lunch boxes as well, because I love their full color lunch boxes. I know we talk about them quite a bit with the Come Kit Around with Us, because they offer the lunch box, the retro lunch box is part of their kitting program. But their full color process lunch boxes are awesome. So whether it's a decal imprint or a full color imprint, TechWeld's full color capabilities on their lunch boxes definitely set them apart from the pack. Go visit them at techweld.com to see all of their full color capabilities on their lunch boxes. They're really awesome. You definitely won't be sorry that you went over there and checked them out. And again, tell them Industry Insider sent you. I think that concludes the episode, guys. Kirby, thank you so much for joining us today, man. It was really, really good one. I'm glad to have you on.
Appreciate it, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks.
All right. We'll see you next week, guys. Take care.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Promo Corner's Industry Insider. For more great content from industry thought leaders, including podcasts, blogs, and videos, visit promocorner.com.